Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Marquita here with late nights, early mornings, and I am just doing another plant update. Now there's not a lot, nothing new in terms of new plants or whatnot, but there have been a few developments in the plants. I just want to share that. The succulents, I'll start with them really briefly. I still don't know what they're doing because succulents are not my thing. However, this middle plant, at first I thought it might have been dying, but now I'm thinking it's still doing okay because you see that top kind of sprouted, and it's growing new growth. And I don't know if that's how some plants, sometimes they kind of regenerate and die and regenerate. So I don't know if that's the process for this one, but we'll see. And then it's also growing little babies over. If you can see the lighter green, those are new growth, perfect for the sun to get a little brighter and give some light. So yeah, so I think it is doing okay. And the other two seem to be growing. It's pretty steady. And then same with this one, the bottom part was kind of like that before I moved, so I don't think there's anything new, and it seems to still be okay. So they are, I guess, doing fine. So that's all for the succulents. We have the two waffle plants, the Snow White and the chocolate purple waffle plant here. This one actually had a moment where it kind of, as we call it, fainting, or it was droopy. And I think it had to do with the change in temperature, because I'm sure like most other places, we've had some kind of wacky weather where it was, pretty consistently decently warm. Not super hot, but just warm, and then it dropped and got like cold for a couple days, and then it went back. And during that time, I noticed that this plant did start to droop, and it had plenty of water. It's in the self-watering container, and it's been fine, and it was perfectly perky and healthy and everything. Nothing changed. The only thing that I can think of that was a change in conditions was the flip-flop in the weather. And although this is an indoor plant, as you can see, it's by the window, which really is not that insulated. I think I can feel a bit of a draft. And not only that, but I don't know, it wasn't sunny for a couple of days because I think it was kind of like overcast and stuff. So between less lighting and the temperature drop, which in my apartment, because I'm a hot-natured person, I don't typically cut on the heat that frequently, even when it is cooler outside. So I think between the changing in temperature, which changed, of course, the temperature in my apartment, it caused it to droop. But then once I put my heat on and kept it that way for about 2 or 3 days, even though I was sweating to death at night, because with the heat on, it did cause the plant to perk back up to what you see. So I think that's the only thing I can think of. It had to be the temperature, because nothing else changed. But it's back and it's growing, but I want to go ahead and film it because the temperatures are slated to drop as we go into the weekend, and I'm not going to suffer anymore in terms of heat. So we'll see what happens with this plant, but it seems to have recovered pretty well. And this one, ironically, did not change, like in terms of having any drooping or any kind of situation like that. And I do think some of it has to do with seasons. Like some of them are just meant to be, their strong points or their blooming time is in the warmer weather, whereas others are made more for the cooler weather. So even though inside, still that could play a role in whether or not they're going more dormant or if they're still producing. So that's this one. Seems to be doing fine. There's my Manjula, which seems to be enjoying its place right here. I love the variations that are coming in the leaves. That is the typical trademark for this particular plant. But I feel like it's coming through more and more, and I really like what it's doing. Like, it's beautiful. It's doing great. The next thing that I want to focus on was my aloe, and that's really the main point for this video, is the aloe, because it's, as you can see, is growing like crazy. You can see some little baby swigs over there, and then this particular one, you can have, actually, when you squeeze on like the plant, you can kind of feel like the aloe gel inside, which I think is pretty awesome if I ever were to need it for my plant. So I think this one is safe to say is really doing well overall. And then I have another aloe plant, which, as you can see, although it is definitely sprouting, it sprouted a second section over there. I think when I move, I'm going to move it into a self-watering plant like the other one, planter like the other one, because I think it benefits more from being able to draw water as needed. Because one thing I noticed about this one is that although it is growing and is healthy, you can see it's nice and green, it doesn't have that thickness. Like there's no, I don't feel as much jelly on the inside like my other one, so it's not giving me that. So I may repot it, but then I'm kind of like, well, what do I do with the little baby? Because that's two separate plants. It tossed that over on its own. So I think I am going to repot it though, just to see. And who knows, I may repot the bigger plant and then also put the baby in a separate and have 3 aloe plants. So we'll see. That's pretty much it for the plants. The others, these are pothos. They're doing what pothos do. They're Goldens. So that's where you see the variation in those. So the difference between them and the Manjulas is that the Manjulas tend to have the more white variation there, versus these have more of a yellow looking variation. But either way, I love it. You know, I love my colorful plants. So yeah, these are both golden pothos doing their thing. Actually, all 3 of them are golden pothos. There's a third one here. And even with that, you can see how they're all producing kind of like a different pattern or a different situation of leaves. Although they're all healthy and all growing, they're doing their own thing. My Brazil is still continuing to do what it does. I am eventually planning to move it probably like right here where this pothos is, so I'll have to find a new spot, and then trail it maybe like over my door is what I'm thinking, because it's so long. So I am planning to move it eventually. I just haven't gotten to that point of reorganizing. The mint, 2 of the mint plants seem to be okay. Some parts of it died off, and then other parts, as you can see, is growing, sprouting new stuff and growing. So we'll see where that goes. Once the weather stabilizes, I'm probably going to put the mint plants outside, because they can grow outside just fine. So I'm probably going to toss them outside once the weather stabilizes and starts getting like freezing or cold or whatever. Then I will repot those outside. This other one, which is the last one that I purchased, and it was a little larger. Although most of the original plants seem to die off, you can see there's new growth all down in there as well as sprouting. So I think, again, just repotting and giving it that outdoor environment may work. And these mint plants did not come from like Lowe's or nursery or anything. I got these from the grocery store, and they're mint so that you can have like fresh herbs for cooking and stuff. So I don't know the conditions in which they were, you know, made. They are organic. Yes, I don't know if that has anything to do with how it's growing, because mint typically grows pretty quick and fast and furious. And this is just regular like sweet mint. And I've grown sweet mint and had tons and tons more than I could ever do anything with. And these just don't seem to be, they are growing quickly in terms of, as you can see, new growth. It continues to sprout. So I don't know. I think it just needs a different environment. So that's all for my plant updates. If anybody's familiar with the Marginata plant, which is this one, there's some little baby things growing in here, and I have no idea what they are, because it shouldn't be anything other than the 2 big ones. I don't know where those sprouts came from, if that's some cross-pollination happening, but I'm interested to find out. So we'll just watch it grow and see what comes up, because I don't have a clue. Because I was going to repot this one, but now I'm like, well, what's going on over there? So we'll see. Last but not least, we have the peace lily, which is, as you can see, it's nice and perky and seems to be doing okay. Those were some lilies that bloomed, and if you are familiar with peace lilies, that's what they do, is they bloom, and the blooms eventually just, you know, die. So that's what it's supposed to do. But the actual plant, as you can see, seems to be doing quite well. For the most part, they look nice and perky until they need water, then they'll droop, and that's how that goes. But that's all I want to give you guys for right now. It's just a general plant update on how life's going for them. I may be adding to my collection again once I can shift some things outside and get some more furniture and rearrange some of these other plants that are right now holding down the spots by the window. But until then, I will see you next time. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and let me know if you are planning to add any houseplants to your collection, or if there are any that you are still growing that you've had for quite some time, because I want to say all of mine are probably, at least with the exception of course of the mint, all of my houseplants are probably 2+ years old, or I've had them for 2+ years. All right, so see you next time. Thanks for watching.